Welcome to Alex's History Lessons. This week's topic: Fascism. Class objectives are to find out where and when fascism came from. What is fascism? What do fascists believe? Examples of fascist movements and dictatorships. Examples of fascist symbols, and to ask the question, does fascism exist today? The exact origin of fascism is debated. It has a number of different roots which we will explore here. Some historians argue that fascism has its roots in France at the time of the French Revolution and its reign of terror. Other historians argue that fascism emerged as a backlash against the ideals of the Enlightenment. The British philosopher Thomas Carlyle is known as the founding father of fascism. Carlyle believed that the majority of people should follow a few great men. Others see the emergence of fascism from social Darwinism, which was the belief that different humans were more advanced than others. Other causes include demonologies, a desire for cultural regeneration, and the fear of communist revolution. Fascism is a form of far-right, authoritarian ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and of the economy. Fascism is the idea that the group is more important than the individual. Everybody must conform to the group or suffer the consequences. Fascists believe in all or a mixture of the following: socialism with nationalist identity, rejection of democracy, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. People in fascist societies have limited choices and strict guidance. They must follow the rules or they will be punished and face the consequences. Fascism is authoritarian and totalitarian. Benito Mussolini was the fascist ruler of Italy from 1923 to 1943. He led a brutal dictatorship in Italy, made the country into a police state, built a huge Italian military. He wanted to create the Roman Empire. He was responsible for the deaths of millions of people in Europe and Africa, and inspired other totalitarian leaders, including Hitler. Adolf Hitler led the brutal Nazi dictatorship of Germany from 1933 to 1945. Hitler initiated World War II, during which 60 million people died. Hitler and the Nazis were responsible for the Holocaust, during which 17 million people were murdered. Hitler and the Nazis were also responsible for killing an estimated 19.3 million civilians and prisoners of war. Over 17 million people were murdered during the Holocaust. We will look at this further in the next class about the Second World War. The Japanese Empire during the 1930s and 40s was totalitarian and part of the fascist Axis powers of World War II. The empire is responsible for killing millions of civilians in China and across Asia, including many prisoners of war. Historians debate whether Franco's regime was completely fascist. It certainly had many fascist elements and was authoritarian. As many as 200,000 political opponents were executed by Franco's militias. An additional 400,000 were imprisoned in jails and concentration camps, where many died of starvation and malnutrition. An unknown number of prisoners were forced into virtual slavery. Some 500,000 people fled Spain as political refugees. 15,000 Spanish Republicans were also murdered by the Nazis during the Holocaust of World War II. There were a number of fascist movements during the 1930s and 40s, particularly in Europe. Some of these managed to find their way into government. There were also fascist movements in democratic nations. Most fascist movements have adopted symbols from ancient civilizations. Some threats to fascism include individualism, diversity, immigration, and new ideas. Now, maybe you are asking the question, does fascism exist today? And the answer, unfortunately, is yes, it does. Neo-fascism is a post-World War II ideology that includes significant elements of fascism. Neo-fascism usually includes ultranationalism, racial supremacy, populism, authoritarianism, nativism, and xenophobia. Neo-fascism is in opposition to immigration, liberal democracy, parliamentarianism, capitalism, liberalism, Marxism, communism, and socialism. We must protect our world from fascism and keep it wonderful and free.